Hey, this is Mike Lotta. I'm a chef at Fig Restaurant in Charleston, South Carolina, and you're listening to Southbound Food.
Welcome back to Southbound Food here. Lance Zerline, Frank Bullington, Brian Caswell, and Danny Vera. And we're being joined by the man who heads up the Sushi Club of Houston, Carl Rosa, who helped bring the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
That's correct.
And we all had a chance to watch the screener. We talked about it. We talked to the director as well. And what a great documentary about sushi and about the sushi in the movie that really facilitates a father-son relationship. I mean, the documentary was so much more than just...
It's almost just like more about a craftsman.
It really was.
Could have been,
I would absolutely
agree with that. It could have been a woodworker.
That's a great point.
It could have been anything. It could have been a sculptor. It could have been,
Yeah, I agree with that. The venue was really irrelevant. It was whatever they were working on, they were committing their life to it, period.
Yeah, and that really was... And in watching the older son and the younger son and the dynamics of one having to study under his father and wait, and the other one seemed to have a little bit more freedom to do what he did, even though there's clearly very, very high standards being the son of Jiro and being associated with him. But we're not here to talk about that, although thank you for bringing that and for people who want to watch it.
Thank you for making me feel inadequate by having to watch that movie. I feel like I'm not doing my job.
It's very humbling watching that, and I've been there, I've eaten there, and it's very, very humbling.
So I wanted to ask you about for those who haven't seen the documentary, we highly recommend it. It only seats 10. This sushi.
It actually
bar
has 3 small booths that no one seems to sit in, but the sushi bar itself accommodates 10 people, one line.
So you've got 10 people there. The chef will put a piece of sushi on your plate.
No, you don't receive a plate.
Or on your...
Puts it on the little...
Oh, it's what is that?
Puts it just right on top of this little, I guess you call like almost an onyx platter.
Okay.
If you will, and he just places it right on top.
And you were expected to eat then and there.
That is exactly correct.
Well,
Pick it up, you put it in your mouth instantly.
Were you nervous?
Very. I was intimidated.
So you were
and
too.
I have to tell you, that was very. It was a very fast meal. It was about $350 when you convert the yen over to dollars, but. Very intimidating. You're the customer, but it just simply does not work that way. I mean, they know what they're doing, so you better own up to it.
That's Carl Rosa. He's with the Sushi Club of Houston, and you take trips over to Japan and experience unbelievable food and sushi and. You have some trips coming up, as a matter of fact, that people can get involved in, right?
Continuously. I go 3 times a year. I bring 2 groups per year, and then I go on my own to do my own little investigation. So I go 3 times a year, but 2 times a year I bring groups.
For people who are listening, saying that sounds really cool, the website that they want to go to is Houston-sushi.com. What's the cost associated with getting over there, and how does that work?
Depending on what time we go, depending on the month. It really, really depends on the cost. For example, summertime, I'm bringing about 60 people to Mount Fuji in August, and that's going to be a little more expensive than if you would go in, let's say, the springtime or the fall. Usually it's just a little more expensive, but factor about $3,000. That includes everything from airfare to hotels to your bullet train to the complimentary breakfast, everything. And I am your guide. I take you through the entire experience.
Is there, this is Carl from the Sushi Club. What else does the Sushi Club of Houston do outside of the trips?
Everything. We host dining events, sushi classes, sake tastings, movie nights like Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Anything associated to sushi in Houston. There, in my opinion, ever since I started the club, there's an enormous disconnect of understanding real sushi, great sushi. I get members that join every single day, and I personally email every member and ask them one thing: where do you go and what do you eat? I ask it's not an automated email. I personally ask every person that joins.
What if they say Philadelphia roll because I love the cream cheese? What's your,
I have
probably
to admit,
not headed to Japan.
I
then?
roll my eyes and I say, okay, they have a long way to go. But I get the most ridiculous responses. There was a lady named Sally who emailed me last month, and I asked her, thanks for joining, what's your favorite sushi? And she said, Mugu Gai Pan. She had absolutely.
Did you ask her hand roll, or do you like that just sashimi style?
It's phenomenal.
So, something came up, I guess it was last weekend, Twitter, and it was rolling around, and it was basically about authenticity when it came to sushi, and I guess you could also translate to this other cuisines. Do you think a guy has to be from Japan to serve great sushi?
Absolutely not. But there are guidelines that you have to adhere to. There are litmus tests that you could very easily determine whether someone is working towards the interest of the customer or they're in it to make money. It's obvious. The rice is number one. Sushi rice is number one. That is my pass and fail. If I sit in a restaurant, and I have eaten at every sushi restaurant in this city multiple times, and I will order sushi and then I order a separate bowl of sushi rice. Purposely. I want a little bowl filled with a little bit of sushi rice, and I'm going to taste it as nigiri or a sushi roll, and then I'm going to eat the rice separately. If the rice maintains the same consistency, I'll know immediately this is a chef that truly cares. This is a staff that truly cares. There's an adherence to guidelines that they're going to continue. There's no way you can accidentally do this. There's no way in the world that I could taste the sushi rice and say, that was phenomenal, maybe it was a mistake. No way.
What are some restaurants that you frequent? Obviously, I'm not asking for you to plug anything, but if you you take the trips, you've gone to every restaurant more than once.
Absolutely.
What are some of your favorite spots here in the Houston area?
Depending on what I want to eat, it will make all the difference. For example, traditional Japanese cuisine is Kubo's Sushi Bar and Grill in the Rice Village shopping center. If you want a little traditional and a little contemporary, it would be Kata Robata right off of Richmond and Kirby. If you're looking for eclectic sushi, you're looking at Uchi. You're going to pay a lot more at Uchi, but you're going to get something clearly different. If I want something that resembles maybe an atmosphere of a small Tokyo restaurant, Ginza, right off of San Felipe. There's a wide variety of places that I visit. And it also depends on what I want to eat. Depending on how the fish is prepared, it's really hard for me sometimes to make a choice.
Is there a restaurant that consistently gets a higher quality of fish? Or is pretty much everybody using the same suppliers, or is there some restaurants in town that really go the extra mile to get fish?
Oh no, there are definitely some restaurants that go out of their way to get the best that they can. Kata Robata, Kubo's, and I just spoke with the Sushi, which is right at the corner of Memorial and Westcott, and they purposely ordered fish from the Kyushu Islands of Japan. They're getting 3 rare fish flown in because of the Jiro movie. They have a feeling that everyone's going to be in the mood to eat some crazy fish. So, there are some restaurants that definitely go the extra mile.
So the website is houston-sushi.com. You can email info, or you can email for more information, info@houston-sushi.com. It's the Sushi Club of Houston. You're taking your trip. I want to ask Brian, as a guy who deals in seafood all the time, we're talking about fish. Do you have a distinct palate when it comes to tuna? For example, there was the talk about the different types of tuna, and it was interesting because we'll pay more for the fatty Toro tuna here, but Jiro says, no, the leanest tuna is where you have the most complex flavor. Are there certain fish that you really have that palate where you have distinct differences of flavor and taste for you, Brian?
Well, no doubt in how they're killed and how they're cared for after they've been caught. And there's people always think about fresh fish in relation to time, and that's not necessarily what makes the fish taste great. And I mean, time, of course, you don't want some of this, 5 weeks old, but at the same time, you could have a fish that's technically younger. I'm a big believer in fish being able to rest for a certain amount of time. It has to age to a certain point. But if it's not treated correctly on the way to that point, then it's all for naught.
What does the aging do?
Well, I mean, first thing that has to happen is it has to go through rigor mortis. And, just like any other protein, the muscle fibers are going to start to relax over time. And then there's going to be this apex of a point to where, okay, now it's time to eat. Now it's gone too far, or it's not ready yet or not. As far as tuna is concerned, we don't use a lot of tuna. Mm-hmm. We're mainly buying stuff that's coming, from our backyard. We do a lot of stuff with blackfin from time to time. Once in a while, we'll get a yellowfin if it's caught locally. But tuna is not really something that we spend an enormous amount of time and energy on.
What about the rice? Talking about the rice, you talk about how important the rice is. In the documentary, Jiro Goes to Dreams of Sushi, there's the talk about how much vinegar is involved in the rice, and how it's so much different. Is that same flavor component, do you ever find that around here in the city of Houston?
It's very rare. It's very, very rare. And like I said before, I will know immediately when there's a chef that's adhering to the policies or it's really going to produce a great rice. There are several components, several factors. Number one is the shininess, the stickiness, the size of the rice in comparison to the value of what you're purchasing, the size of the rice in comparison to the amount of fish that he's providing. In some cases, it's a really tiny amount of fish with this great big egg full of rice, and you're really filling up on the rice. Then there has to be a balance of flavor. There's the sour vinegar flavor with a little bit of sweet added in from the sugar that complements the fish. That is everything. Clearly, when you find the balance, it's really special.
What place in Houston gets sushi rice right?
There's about 5 that I know of right now. Kubo Sushi Bar and Grill, Katarobata, Uchi. I will say I did go there twice so far. One time they hit it right on the head. One time they did not. Sushi is now adopting a new recipe that I find to be absolutely fantastic in Sushi Miyage on Bel Air.
We got to break it right there. That is Carl Rosa, and very interesting stuff. If you love sushi like we do here in Southbound Food, I think you're going to really love the website, Houston-sushi.com, the Sushi Club of Houston. Go there for more information about the trips that Carl takes over to Japan. And Carl, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.